Okay. So yeah, so the web hosting, the best thing, and most students just use the ASU web host because it's
Okay.
free and it's pretty easy to use. You just only thing you're allotted a certain amount of space, and each student you're given one URL address, one website. But you can use subdirectories so that you can use it for more than one. I mean, you can put more than one site on there. You just have to use the subdirectory.
Okay.
So we've done
Yeah.
that before with students. There have been a few students who just have wanted to use a different web host, or maybe they've already had a lot of experience with the ASU web host and they wanted to do something different, or they already have their own web host that they're already paying for, then they might choose to use a different web host. But in most cases, the students just use the ASU web host.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you think that you want to use a different web host, you can just let me know, and that's fine. But if you need help with that, setting that up, I may or may not be able to help you just depending on what you're using, if I'm familiar with that web host or not. But most of them, it wouldn't be too difficult. I mean, you just put your files on their server. So you wouldn't go to the ASU server. You'd have to link it to whatever web host you're paying for, because they're paying for that service. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and one thing about that is if you are paying for a web hosting service, an advantage of that is they will have some tech support that, because you're paying for this service, then if you run into a problem, you can contact them directly, their tech support, and they should be able to help you. The ASU's IT service, the tech support is not that great about getting back to students usually. So they're probably bombarded with a lot of emails and that sort of thing. So, but I should be able to help you with the ASU web host.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
If
Any
you
other?
would have us purchase one, who would you suggest going to? Like WordPress or?
Yeah, well, WordPress, I'm not sure how that would work with the Dreamweaver. I know that WordPress is mainly, it's like a blog site that you can get for free, but they do have a different service where you can actually pay for web hosting through WordPress and then pay for your own domain, so you can get your own website name without that WordPress
Okay.
URL. And I haven't personally done that. I've only used the free. Well, actually, let me go back a minute. I am paying for a web host that I have used WordPress for on one of my sites, but I didn't like it as much because the design was a little more limited,
Okay.
and I didn't do Dreamweaver with that. So with what WordPress offered there, they offer a little more hands-on design rather than the typical free blog sites, but it's not through Dreamweaver. So I haven't used Dreamweaver with WordPress.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can do a paid service through WordPress, but I don't know about Dreamweaver, so I haven't done that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
other ones, I have used GoDaddy with Dreamweaver, and what was the other one? I'm trying to think right now. See if I've got it written down here. I'm going on to our course site right now. iPage, I've used GoDaddy, iPage, and I think those are the main two in addition to the work. But I've used GoDaddy and iPage with Dreamweaver.
Okay.
Again, those are ones that I pay for. And then I've also used like CyberDuck for file transfer, but you don't have to do that either. Like you can use GoDaddy or iPage to host your files rather than going through another file transfer protocol. So
Okay.
different hosting options, but those are, I've used one with CyberDuck, and then I've also used GoDaddy and iPage without CyberDuck.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Any other questions about web hosting?
No, I was just for me, I
Yeah.
was just confused because there's a bunch of options. I was like, oh no, which one should we
I
actually?
know, yeah, it's kind of like this big question out there, but I would just recommend just go with the ASU web hosts, and that will be pretty the majority of what people will do, and it's pretty streamlined for
Yeah.
this class. Unless you really want to explore more web. Most of the students who don't use the ASU web hosts are ones who already have some computer science or web development background.
Okay.
And now I can't remember, do you already have some experience, Keegan, with web?
No,
Okay.
not so far.
Okay. All right. But you can always choose, later if you decide, hey, I want to try a different web host, you can always do that later too.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So let me go ahead. I'm glad you're thinking about this. So it's always good to think ahead and even on as far as for final projects too, because it's all related. So I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop. So that we're on the course page here. Everyone see my desktop?
Yep.
Great, we're on the same page. And then I'm going to go to Module 3. So this week, Module 2 pretty much closes and that Module 3 starts up. Have y'all taken a look at Module 3 yet?
Yeah,
Not yet.
Yeah.
I haven't done the photo shoot video you made.
Okay, well, let me go back to Module 2 just in case, because I know we have like Quiz 1 is due today.
Yeah.
And then the animated GIF is due tonight. So have y'all finished those already?
I'm actually about to do the quiz after this, but I did the gift.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
questions about those assignments?
No.
For the submission process? Okay, good. Then moving on, and then you've got some time for discussion 3. So you need to make sure you post that GIF tonight, and then you have some time to go back and respond to a peer's post, just so you have some time to look through everything. So then in Module 3, we have 2 weeks. So this is the last module where you'll have a couple of weeks to get stuff in. Then starting in Module 4, the time frame speeds up, and you have 1 week to turn in for each module until we get to the last module for the
Okay.
final projects. So
Gotcha.
we got a little bit more time here, but then it'll go down to 1 week. So for Module 3, the first week, pretty much week 1, you are going to do your site plan. So here's where you're going to really think about your final project sites. And I would recommend that you jump down, go ahead and jump to Module 9, final projects, and just take a look at the assignment sheets. You can look at the overview. This is what you're going to have linked on your website. And then you're going to have 3 final projects. So that's the overview, and I'm not going to go into it in detail now, but the first project is going to be an ePortfolio. And if you look through the rubric, those are the requirements that you need on that website. And so each website, you need at least 5 pages. So 1 page would be your home page, and then 4 additional pages. Then we'll look at project 2 is the professional site. This is the group project. So you'll work with like 2 or 3 others, or you could work with 1 other, however you want to divide it up, but I wouldn't work with more than 4 per group. And that's where you will partner up with others and decide what kind of professional site you want to do. And it could be a made-up site if you want to make up a company or a product that you want to sell or market or promote, or it could be a real site. I've had students who have a real business or something they want to sell, or if they're a photographer, they might set up like a photography business, or you could make up a gaming site. It could be just a hobby or something you're interested in. So those are just kind of things to think about. Or you could do a website for an existing company that doesn't have a site or that needs a site redesign. So, excuse me. So that's the group professional site. And you may want to start thinking about who you want to partner with or work with in the group. And that's where you're going to post in our Google Plus community so that I know, or actually I'll have a sign up sheet before that, and then you'll just post some initial communication in that community before it goes away April 2nd. So yeah, because they're going to get rid of Google Plus, but we'll just use it before then. And then the rubric is always at the end of each of these assignment sheets, so you can see what I'll be grading for. But you don't have to worry too much about the details, but just kind of maybe look over the first sheet so you know what's going to be needed. Because what we're going to do here, and then just quickly, I'm kind of speeding through this, but for the third final project, it's going to be a responsive redesign, and it's going to be more like a plan.
Okay.
Redesign either one of your other project 1 or project 2, like your ePortfolio or that professional site, redesign that to be responsive or mobile friendly, or you could take an existing site that's not mobile friendly and redesign that to be mobile friendly.
Okay.
And so that's going to be more of a plan that's fully designed, but not necessarily fully developed. And I'll talk about that when we get closer to it. But so going back to Module 3 now, what you're going to do in the first week of Module 3 is design a site plan. And so you can watch this video just about the art of web design. Then you can watch this video about wireframing. And y'all have all taken the InDesign document design class. So it's kind of similar to like when I'm talking about sketching out your ideas and your concepts, kind of in a storyboard format. So you're doing that, and then you're going to the digital layout phase. So you're going to lay out in the sketch form, which I don't need to see the sketch form, but I just need to see the digital layout. So you could do this in Photoshop or InDesign. And this video shows you how I set up a site plan in Photoshop. And then so you're going to lay out what each page of your website is going to look like. Just kind of the initial ideas. So you don't have to have all your graphics laid out on there yet, but just tell me what you're thinking, what your title is going to be, where the title is going to go. Even if you don't have a title yet, you can just say like title goes here, and then your wireframing is going to show me where your text and your content is going to go. So just kind of visually lay it out. And also it'll show me the hierarchy of your website, where you'll have sibling pages, what the site pages that are all in one tier, one level, and then child pages will be pages that you click on a page that will take you to another page.
Okay.
So that's another level. So those are called child pages. And I'll show you can look at that video for the example in that. So the first week you're going to submit that site plan. That's wireframed. Then the second week you're going to work on a logo for one of your sites. So for the professional site, you are required to have a logo on there. The ePortfolio, I don't think that it's required, but it doesn't hurt to include a logo on that site too. So I'm looking at the rubric right here to make sure. Yeah, so on the ePortfolio, I don't require the logo as one of the elements that you have to have on there. I am requiring an animated GIF, just because that's one thing we learned. So everything we're doing is so that you can add these assets to your final sites. And then if you decide, though, if you want to put a logo on your ePortfolio too, then go ahead and do that. And if you decide, hey, this idea for an animated GIF would work really well for my professional site, you can include that too. So then you've got some options now that you've got the technique down that you could add those graphics. So you want just whatever is appropriate for your concept and for your site. But you do need a logo for your professional site and an animated GIF for your ePortfolio. So for this assignment, you could go ahead and design a logo for your professional site. But if you don't know what you're going to do yet for your professional site, then maybe you just want to design a logo for your ePortfolio. Or you could do a logo for something else. And then you'll just get some more practice and experience of creating a logo.
Okay.
And then you all may have created logos for another design class or for the class that you took with me. If you want to use a logo you've already designed, that's fine. If it's going to work on one of your final sites, especially if you're doing one for your ePortfolio, like you already did one for your letterhead, that would be fine. But don't just submit what you have for the print logo. Make sure that you reformat it so that it's web ready. So if that's where you'll go back to homework 1, the file formats assignment, and review what is a web appropriate format.
Okay.
JPEG or GIF or PNG, depending on what kind of logo you have. Make sure the resolution is appropriate for web. So obviously you wouldn't want to have like a 300 ppi logo because it's not necessary for the file size, and that might take longer to load. So think about those issues. You're thinking web here, not print. So it's got to be web ready. So it's that whatever you submit is ready for you to load onto your website. Yeah, and then here for food for thought is you can look at web save colors, start thinking about, now we're looking not at CMYK but RGB colors for web. And there's a lot of color charts out there that already have colors that are web saved. So I've included one in the Google Plus, and oops, let me go back to the Google Plus community. So in the Happy Clouds resources, switch over here. I've added web save colors. So here's one website you can look at, and there's lots of other ones out there, but this one, it's all by the number. So you can, if you see a color you want to use, you can just copy and paste that number into Dreamweaver once we start working in Dreamweaver. But even if you decided on a color palette now, you could include that on your site plan and just include the numbers or the colors you're thinking about. So it's all for you, for your benefit, so that you won't have to do all of this at the last 3 weeks. Okay. You can start, building it now.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I also added this article about image file format, so the raster and vector images, and so that's something you could look at. That would be helpful as you're dealing with the formats for logos. So, and remember that you can't save files as InDesign files or Illustrator files for the web. So you would, if you want it to be a vector file, you'd have to save it as an SVG file, which would be a scalable vector graphic. But that's not one we really talked about in this class. So we mainly just looked at JPEG, PNG, and GIF, and those are more the standard formats for web. So if you want to just stick with one of those, that would be fine. So that is what's coming up in Module 3. Go back here. Oh, that's, sorry, it's another class. And there's also this color theory reading, so you can, and it's just posted here, so you can read through that too. It talks more about the color in the RGB output versus CMYK, but just mainly focus on the RGB colors for web. And then there's a study aid for that Art of Design video. So if you wanted to download the study aid and print it out, or just have it open while you're watching the video, maybe just take notes while you're watching, that might be helpful.
Okay.
So that's just available. I've got it on here twice. No, there's 2 study aids, the one for the logo and then the one for the web design video.
Okay.
They were helpful.
Yeah. So that's it for Module 3, and then I'll talk about Module 4 next week. Mm-hmm. And I think, make sure I didn't miss anything. Color, final, yeah. Yeah. Do y'all have any questions? No?
I don't think so.
Okay. Great. Great. Well, I'm going to just keep trying to do these every week just to kind of touch base and make sure I go over each module. And then if you got any questions, you can always ask me. And then if you think of any questions later, or if you're working on it, you can also see me in my office hours and in that open lab time on Fridays. Or you can email me too.
Okay.
And you can post in the Google Plus too. You can post any questions on there, and Laura will be checking that too and helping to answer questions.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Awesome.
Great. Yeah. And you are all gate majors or gate minors, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to try to remember to remind people, but don't forget those gate scholarships are coming up too. So make sure you apply if you're thinking about that. So it's always a good resource.
You know, that's good to keep track of.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll look for those dates and
Yeah.
It should be coming out in the beginning of March.
yeah, that's I
So
have it written down.
Toga's taking care of it.
Have you already taken care of?
Dr.
Processing.
Glisson has talked to us about
Oh, okay, good.
because we're both in Taga, and so he came
Yeah,
and talked to us tonight about it.
Okay, great. There's also a contest about like designing a greeting card. Have you all seen that one?
No.
No.
There's I may have it up here somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. Oh, got way too much stuff here. Okay, Association for Print Technologies,
Okay.
and they want you to design and produce a printed greeting card for any occasion.
Okay.
And all this information is down here. I think it's not due till June.
Okay.
But the thing is, you have to design it and print it, and then your instructor has to submit it for you. And then the winner gets to go to Chicago with the instructor. So I really want to go to Chicago. So
Awesome.
We'd love to take you.
so yeah, look at that if you're interested and you have time to do that.
It's on the print. Okay, print technology.
Will you put this on the website or the As You Learn?
Yes, yeah, I will. I'll put it in the Google Plus community.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll share it there. And I try to share things I hear about in my Twitter or LinkedIn accounts too. So if you ever want to look for me there too. So
Okay.
that's sometimes easier for me than try to post stuff in all of my classes. But yeah, I'll make a note to, in fact, after this, I'll just go ahead and post this for this class.
Okay. Awesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That'll be awesome.
Good.
Take a look at that.
cool. All right, well, it's good to see you all. Glad to have you in class again.
Yeah.
And see me in the hallways. I'm sure I will see you gate hallways out and about at Harper. So, okay, well, have a good rest of your evening.
You too.
All right, thank
Great one.
you.
Bye.
Leave some.